Welcome to the Toby Collums Coaches Show, brought to you by our friends at Kincaid's Fine Clothing. I'm Bob Sullender, along with the head coach of the Madison Central Jaguars, Coach Toby Collums. Coach, thanks for being with us today.
Appreciate you having me.
Last week, a big win over Northwest Rankin, 38-7 on the road, first road trip. And Coach, going back into an environment that you had been at for 6 years, and it was kind of good to get that game behind you, I'm sure.
Absolutely. You know, got to see some familiar faces with players and coaches and administration over there. But like you said, I'm glad to get that one over with.
Yeah, some friends and family as well over there. So,
yes.
So definitely a good win on the road.
Yeah.
Well, looking at the team on the defensive side of the ball, man, the Jags were all over the place. Vic Collins led the team with 7 tackles, but it was kind of spread across the whole team. You know, you had Sam Rice with 6 tackles, Braxton Barney with 3 tackles, Kelsey Singleton with a fumble recovery and a big return, and B.J. Washington, Gatlin Sanders with interceptions. And, you know, the Cougars just couldn't get in a rhythm on offense.
Well, you know, it's not that we couldn't get in a rhythm. We a lot of the penalties that we got were hustle plays. You know, we had some crackback blocks, you know, guys that, you know, got called for blocking in the back. We got behind the chains a few times. But, you know, when you make those kind of mistakes, you can kind of forgive those because they're hustle plays. Like I said, they're not unforced errors. I mean, kids are playing hard and just made a mistake or got called for something maybe they didn't know. Maybe I didn't do a good job coaching it during the week. But, you know, with the crackback blocks, I think we were second and 46 at one point in time. On the flip side of that, it's great to know that we can convert a second and 46 and score a touchdown. So, I mean, it was kind of a tale of two teams, or whatever you want to say. I thought, for one, it was our most complete game on defense. And like I said, at 2, you know, offensively, I thought we had some adversity early, and we kind of battled through that.
You know, when Baxter and I were talking about the food truck in the back and over on the other side instead of the game, it was good towards the second half.
No doubt.
You had a lot of players got in some good experience for some of the younger players, and of course that showed some senior leadership. You keep a couple players out there that are veterans, and we're able to show those guys how to play on the field on Friday nights.
Those kind of games are good. I mean, when you can put an opponent away early and then get your young guys in there, because we have not played a JV game up until Monday night of this week. So, I mean, it was refreshing to get some of those guys in. You back up quarterbacks and back up offensive linemen, defensive linemen, things of that nature, get them on the field and get some game experience.
Up next, we'll talk about the Madison Central Jaguar offense on their Northwest Rankin 38-7 win on the road right here on the Madison Central Football Network, mcbigblue.com, Super Talk Mississippi 97.3 FM.
Quality, integrity, and excellence. Kincaid's Fine Clothing, Old Town Square, Ridgeland.
Welcome back to the Coach Toby Collums Show, brought to you by our friends at Kincaid's Fine Clothing. I'm Bob Sullender, along with the head coach of the Madison Central Jaguars, Coach Toby Collums. Last week, big win over Northwest Rankin, 38-7 on the road. Offensively, it was all on the ground. You know, Vic Collins was, of course, quarterback. He was 6 for 10 passing yards with 56 yards. Blake Gunner with some catches, along with DeMario Williams. But a big offense, 349 rushing yards on the ground. Robert Dimas Jr. led the team with 13 carries, 154 yards, and 4 touchdowns. DeAndre Pullen had 5 touches for 91 yards and a TD, and 6 different Jaguars ran the ball. And when you run the ball for 349 yards, you're going to be pretty successful.
Yeah, and like I said, we've talked about it every week. We want to be able to run the football. I think if you're able to run the football, it kind of sets the tone for everything else. You know, the 6 of 10 passing for Vic is kind of misleading. I mean, that's every pass that we threw was in the first half. So I mean, if you look at that, and we come out in the second half and we have to play 4 quarters, you're talking about probably throwing the ball 20 to 25 times a game. But put an opponent away early, we're able to run the football, and that makes everything else kind of go well.
Yeah, with the junior quarterback, Vic Collins, kind of what I've seen is, he's been your general on the field, just kind of calming of when things don't go exactly the way you want to. He's been able to kind of take everybody in and kind of show that good leadership.
Well, the great thing is he's making good decisions. He's making good decisions with the football. Knock on wood, we haven't he hasn't thrown an interception yet. I hope we continue to do that. He's not forcing balls into bad places. You know, a couple of times, you know, actually one time he gets flushed from the pocket, and instead of taking a sack, he throws the ball out of bounds, which we got called for intentional grounding. I thought it was a bad call, but at the same time, that's kind of a veteran move right there, not taking that sack and getting the ball out of your hands. So I think he's making good decisions. He's distributing the ball well, and we need him to continue to do that throughout the season.
Yeah, the third rail of what's going on the field, of course, is the special teams, and B.J. Washington had 2 returns for 46 yards, you know, that's an important part of the game too, that sometimes gets kind of missed a little bit.
Yeah, B.J. is a very dangerous weapon back there as a return guy, and unfortunately for him, you know, I think he's returned 2 for touchdowns on the year, and both of them have been called back. He returned 1 Friday night to the 1 and didn't get in. So you know, I told him this week, just keep doing what you're doing. This thing's gonna work out, I promise you. But he's a dangerous weapon back there, and glad he plays for us.
Up next, we will talk about what's on the field for tonight. The Starkville Yellowjackets, longest road trip, and we'll talk about that. 3-0 Madison Central against 3-0 Starkville. Up next, right here on the Madison Central Football Network, mcbigblue.com and Super Talk 97.3 FM.
The right bank. It just fits. With online and mobile tools that give you the freedom to do more. The power to make your dream home yours. And help your business stay on top. Technology that makes one bank fit you to a T. Trustmark. People you trust, advice that works.
Welcome back to the Toby Collums Coaches Show, brought to you by our friends at Kincaid's Fine Clothing. Bob Sullender here, along with the coach of the Madison Central Jaguars, Coach Toby Collums. The Jaguars travel to Starkville to take on the 3-0 Yellowjackets, and you know, a new phase of the season, Coach. Region play, everybody's 0-0, and it's big time. And of course, when you head north to Starkville, it's always a tough task playing those Yellowjackets. Yeah,
and it's no different this year. I mean, it's a physical Starkville team. You know, they lost a lot of. You know, I talked to a guy from Starkville, did an interview with a guy from the WCBI yesterday, and he was talking about, you know, how many people they lost off last year's team. And I mean, they look the same. I mean, you're talking about guys that can run, they're big, they're fast, they're physical on both sides of the football. So yeah, I expect it to be a 4-quarter game. I figure it's going to be one of those games that's enjoyable to go and watch. As far as high school football is concerned, it's probably not going to be a whole lot of fun to coach in.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those road trips that, you know, Starkville has not lost since 2014 at home. So a tough test. Of course, they're averaging 30 points a game on offense, and defense only giving up 10 points. Starkville coming off a 28-23 win over 4A defending champions Louisville, and the Jaguars, of course, coming off a week off. How does that kind of play into how you prepare after a big win against Northwest Rankin, and then you have a couple of weeks there?
Well, you know, it kind of gives you a week to get your legs back under you. You know, we had everybody's got kids that are banged up, so it kind of gives you a week to get those guys healed up. It also gives you a jump start on a really good opponent in Starkville. We know we got 3 extra days to prepare for those guys. And, you know, I think it's important to take that bye week. It is to me anyway. I know some coaches don't believe in it, but it just seems like it always works out where we've got guys that need some rest. They need to do some therapy or whatever to get back on the field, and it was no different this year. So I don't really think it affects you going into the next game if you handle it right. You know, if you mentally prepare, physically prepare for those 2 weeks, and then going into the game, if you've done your job, then it should work out in your favor.
All right, Coach, good luck tonight.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Up next, to the field at Starkville for Madison Central 3-0 and the Starkville Yellowjackets 3-0. Right here on the Madison Central Football Network, mcbigblue.com and Super Talk 97.3.